Hey guys, welcome back to the Holderhek channel. We're gonna do the part 3, I guess. I guess there's 3 parts of our Phase 5 gearing guide. We had our PvE gearing guide, we had our nature resistance gearing guide. Now we're gonna go into our PvP gearing guide. You know, I gotta complete the Triforce of Power here. So got a couple things I wanted to talk about, you know, specifically focusing on the enhancement shaman, the spell enhancement shaman. So we're gonna go into your basic bonky boy attack power and crit build gear talents. We're gonna go into your spell enhancement gearing and talents. I got a couple different ways you can do that. And then we're going to go into a, I guess, alternate version of your spell enhancement gearing and talents. Because the thing about being a shaman is you change a little bit of your gear, you change a little bit of your talents, and amazing, it's like you're playing a brand new class. This is why I don't have alts, I guess. Anyway, guys, let's do this. The first PvP set that I want to go over is going to be your basic bonky boy, I'm an enhancement shaman, I hit stuff PvP set. Now, that being said, with this gear, I did focus a bit on making sure that a lot of these pieces gave you intellect, because I don't know if you've ever tried to PvP with like 3,000 mana, but it doesn't really work out very well after about 10 seconds. So in this set, you have about 4,000 mana, 4,300 health. You're not a tank, and you don't have a lot of mana, but you have enough to get by. So the first thing you may notice is we have the ZG enchant on everything now. I prefer the 30 intellect and 26 spell damage to a couple hundred health. When you move into Phase 5 and Phase 6, you're going to be one-shot by most people, whether you have 4,500 health or you have 5,500 health. So I kind of went with, I'm going to go more intellect and spell power because I value intellect as a DPS stat as well as spell power as a DPS stat because totems and shocks. Great. So, Crown of Destruction, congrats, you're wearing that forever, okay? You could also, if you really wanted to, it's not going to come up here, and we'll talk about it more later, but you could also wear the Sky Fury helm. Less melee focused, more spell crit focused, but it's a decent balance of both, and I would also throw the ZG enchant on it. Barbed Choker, pick that thing up. It's going to be the only neck you wear for a very, very long time. The Defiler's Mail Pauldrons. Somebody asked me in one of my last videos if I could include some rep gear, and well, I mean, the Defiler's Mail Pauldrons are great. They're honestly great. The only thing that beats them in PvP would be your rank 13 Warlord gear, which are right here. As you can see, they're just a little bit better at almost everything except for agility, where they have like 1 less. And you get spell power instead of MP5. So the Defiler's Mail Pauldrons are basically like discount Warlord shoulders, but they're still pretty good. I would throw attack power on them in all situations. Also, guys, there is the Abyssal Mail Pauldrons of Striking, these things. You could wear those if you wanted to get another hit. And it's not going to come up in my pull-down menu. And we'll get more into this in the Spellhance build, but there is the Abyssal Mail Pauldrons of Sorcery, which are caster stats, but melee hit, and that's fun to play around with. Wind Shear Cape, I like it. You know, it's got DPS stats, it's got intellect. You're really not gonna find anything other than that. Other than, you have the Gathering Storm, I believe. Yeah, the Cloak of the Gathering Storm. You could use that instead of Wind Shear Cape, but you lose out on a little bit of agility there, and you get the spell damage and healing, you're going to see there's decisions you can make on all this gear. You're going to have to decide. Ruined Bloodstained Huberk. I like that over Savage Gladiator because it has intellect, but if you want to pick Savage Gladiator, you can do that and have more melee stats. You could also pick Obsidian Mail Tunic and have even better melee stats at the cost of having no stamina whatsoever. Wrist Guards of Stability, you would pick these if you didn't need hit, although Quaji Executioner Bracers are technically better. But these have way more attack power, and you probably have a pair, so you would use those. Pretty much any of these 3 bracers are going to be working out very, very well for you. Either Karaji Executioner, Wrist Guards of Stability, or True Flight. I put stamina on them because it's just easy. Dark Edge of Insanity, oh my god, we've talked about it a billion times, we'll talk about it a billion more times. It's a fantastic axe. You're going to be wearing it forever because it's style BIS. Do remember, though, that in this gear, even if you're wearing all mail, you're a paper tiger. You do damage, you get hit, you die. You're gonna have to have a good one-hander and shield combo. The one-hander and shield combo I recommend you try to get is the Blessed Karaji War Axe. That thing's amazing. Look at it, guys. It has intellect. Wow. Warriors are gonna try to take it. Good luck trying to get it. Maybe by the time Phase 5 rolls around, you'll be able to get a Deathbringer. I personally have a Claw of the Black Drake. It slaps. I love the thing. It works out very, very well. And for your shield, obviously the best shield in the game for you for PvP would be the Wormscale Blocker, because the thing has 3,000 armor. And, you know, MP5 and healing it's nice when you need to be a team player and either heal yourself or heal others. But mainly the armor and the intellect on it is very, very nice. Obviously, you'll probably still be using Malastars, but just always remember to have a hot swap macro for your one-hander and your shield in situations when you're being attacked by, you know, like rogues and warriors and stuff, and hunters as well. It's very, very important. Totem of Rage, we really don't have good relic slots as enhancement. Totem of Rage adds about 14 damage to your shocks. Whatever. I would probably, I guess my dark horse pick here, I'd probably roll with the Totem of Rebirth. And if you really wanted to troll people, you could spec into Improved Reincarnation and have, you know, what, 20% more health and mana and reincarnate every 50 minutes instead of every 60. It's, you know, it's like whatever, but obviously, like, look at what they give us. It's like Lesser Healing Wave, okay, that's kind of useful. You have Totem of Rebirth, okay, you have Totem of Rage, okay, you know, it's like the Elemental Totem that gives, like, Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning damage. That's actually useful. These, not so much, but it is what we have to replace Egan's Blaster, at the very least. Ornament Gloves of Enforcement, these would be your PvE DPS gloves. They're your BIS. You could, if you wanted to, swap these to, I would say, Veclor's Gloves of Devastation. You lose all your attack power and you lose your melee hit, but you do gain intellect, armor, and dodge. Although not that much more dodge, obviously, but you have to always count agility as a defensive stat as well. And having a lot of dodge is very, very useful against rogues. I highly recommend getting as much dodge as you feasibly can. Therazane's Link, very, very nice. Either Therazane's Link or Osirian's Binding are both great for PvP. If you can get a hold of a Belt of Never-Ending Agony, probably won't be able to get a hold of this, but if you can always swap that in too to get that hit and massive attack power. But always remember it's leather, so the more leather you wear, the even more squishier you're going to be. So for PvP, I personally recommend Osirian's Binding or Therazane's Link. The Scaled Sand Reaver leggings, these things are amazing. Like, my god, why can't there just be more items in this game that are statted like Scaled Sand Reaver leggings and the Crown of Destruction? Like, why is that so hard? Why can't there be a 5-piece set that looks like these two items? Would that be too hard? I guess that would in fact be too hard. Boots of Shadow Flame, we need these to get our hit. We'll go into talents in a second. But basically, with this build, you could run either the rest of your points in Elemental or the rest of your points in Restoration. With this build being the I'm going to try to burst you down and kill you as fast as possible kind of build, you're probably going to just dump the rest in Elemental and roll with it, so you'd use Boots of the Shadow Flame. But obviously, if you went into Nature's Guidance and got your spell hit and your melee hit there, you'd have 3 hit freed up, and you could put different boots in this slot, like Fallen Prophet would be okay, or the leather boots from AQ20 would be okay, but I'm just gonna leave Shadow Flame there because they have a ton of armor. If I said anything about wearing leather before, these don't apply to that because they actually have more armor than most like early level 60 male items, so that's very, very nice, and you should be able to get them by now. 2 rings, your PvE rings, you know, Karaji Fury, Quick Strike Ring, it's basically 2 Quick Strike Rings, very, very nice. Your trinkets, and with your trinkets, always remember that your trinkets are meant to be swapped out all the time, especially in PvP situations. So I have a baseline run in and kill people combination here. Earth Strike, you got to get your Cenarian Circle rep up to maximum to get this thing, but it's very, very nice. 280 attack power is in fact a lot of attack power, and if you get a nice Wind Fury during that Earth Strike, well, they're gonna die. Now, slept on, and something that most people probably won't mention, I have to roll down here. Ah yes, the Petrified Scarab. So this thing increases your spell resistances by 100 for 60 seconds. If the Earth Strike is your offensive cooldown, Petrified Scarab would be your defensive cooldown. You could use this to charge into a group of mages and perhaps resist some things. I don't know for certain if this thing would stack with a magic resistance potion, but I feel like it probably should, as well as stacking with totems. So totems, magic resistance potion, Petrified Scarab, good luck, mages. Good luck. You're probably not going to have that great of a time. And of course, you always have your Nature Alignment Crystal, which you can stack with Berserking and Storm Strike to do even more Earthshock damage. It all works out very, very well. You know, I just Drakefang Talisman because I'm in love with the Drakefang Talisman, but always remember you have your Horde Insignia PvP trinket as well to break, you know, stuns, and blows, or whatever else you need to break. And this would be your baseline Bonky Boy, straight enhancement, attack power and crit, gearing, and like I said, with the talents for this build, this is just a generalized enhancement build. If you're going PvP, you definitely go Shield Specialization, you definitely go Guardian Totems. It's up in the air, and your personal choice, whether you're going to take Improved Ghost Wolf, more points in Dodge, or more points in Lightning Shield, but as a baseline, I pick Ghost Wolf because if you're PvPing and you're PvPing in Battlegrounds, Ghost Wolf has many, many uses over the uses of Lightning Shield, which is like killing a rogue or a warrior better, or Dodge, which is like surviving a rogue or a hunter better, okay? So that's your personal decision, as per most things will be. And as I said, you can go into Restoration to get your hit, or you can go into Elemental to get your damage, and you know, damage, but there's not too much survivability in Elemental. Elemental Warding's like okay, but you know, reduced cost on totems and totem range and Nature's Guidance is definitely not to be slept on in PvP, especially totem range, because 30 yards to 40 yards is a very big difference. And trust me, if you've been playing most of the game without this talent, you definitely notice not having it. So that's your baseline Bonky Boy PvP set. Now we're going to talk about your spellhancement PvP sets. So this, as you can see, a few things have changed. This is what I would call a baseline spellhancement gearing. And spellhancement, there's 2 ways to do it. You can gear for spell crit, or you can gear for spell power, and it's really hard to do both without completely sacrificing melee stats. So in this build, I went with your melee stats as a focus, and then just tried to get as much spell crit in there as possible. So Some of the stuff has changed, as you can see. We swapped out the Crown of Destruction for a Sky Fury helm, like we were talking about before. The Sky Fury helm still provides pretty adequate melee stats, right? You got your attack power from strength, you got a melee crit in there, 2 spell crit, and then you put the, the ZG enchant on this thing, and it becomes like essentially a perfect item. It becomes a very rare perfect item. Obviously, if it had this stuff on it, before the enchant, then then it's a perfect item. But it's fine. It's really good. Barb Choker. We're going to use the Stormcaller's Pauldrons. So with this spell enhancement build, we're going to use the 3-piece Stormcaller because the 5-piece is a very niche, like, resto set. So we're probably always going to use 3-piece. There are some situations where you can use the full 5-piece in PvP if you want to be like the support, off healer, off, damage dealer. You can do everything. Honestly, I find playing spell enhancement or enhancement in general like that in PvP very rewarding. The ability to do decent melee damage, the ability to do very good burst spell damage, and the ability to off heal all at the same time. You're very, very much a jack of all trades, and you can be a battlefield disruptor. But again, tangents, I love them. Anyway, Stormcaller's Pauldrons, they're pretty good. They're like your Warlord's Shoulders, except not quite as good on the melee side, but a little bit better on the spell side, but whatever. Stormcaller's Pauldrons. Your side choices for that really would just be the Warlord's Pauldrons, but we can't do it because we want that 3-piece, because 50 nature damage, that some shocks, right? Whatever. Cloak of Concentrated Hatred, we're wearing it because beautiful melee stats and melee hit. Stormcaller's Hubert. This thing is, it's kind of like your Sky Fury helmet. You have melee crit, you have spell crit, it has damage and healing on it, and melee stats. Like, it's pretty damn good for PvP. The reason why we're not using the Stormcaller's helmet, just to go back to the Sky Fury helm, for a second, is it's just really not as good at doing what we want to do, because you end up getting that melee crit on the Sky Fury helm where you really don't get anything even close to a melee crit on the Stormcaller's Diadem. The Karaji Executioner Bracers, we're going pure melee DPS on these things. Some of the best melee DPS bracers in the game. Hit, almost a crit, 30 attack power, 140 health. They're really nice. The Blessed Karaji War Axe and Wormscale Blocker, like we were talking about before in the other build. With this thing, because we do have a decent amount of spell power, it's like 108, it's not that great. It brings up the possibility to use the Blood Drinker, and this will come into play more in the next set, which has way more spell power than this. But this axe has a proc that is very similar to the Ancient Hikari Manslayer. And the Manslayer, that's not it. What is happening? Why can I not type today? I can't type most days, but whatever. Ancient? I cannot spell. H-A-K, right? No. Oh, because I put it on two-handers. That's why I'm just gonna leave this in so you guys can see how stupid I am. It's fine. Okay, so this thing, I've been testing it out in Silithus with decent spell power, and the proc on this thing scales 1-to-1 with spell power. I can only assume that the Blood Drinker Axe also scales 1-to-1 with spell power, so I've had the Hikari Manslayer proc twice in a Wind Fury and drain almost 500 health in one Wind Fury. So you can imagine that if the Blood Drinker has the same life-stealing proc and can proc twice in a Wind Fury, the more spell power you stack, the better that becomes. And remember, because it's a life drain, you're hitting them for that damage and you're healing yourself for that damage. So it scales really, really well. Would I use the Blood Drinker in this set over Dark Edge of Insanity? Nah, it doesn't have enough spell power to really make it worthwhile. But it would be a good thing to have if you wore this stuff to farm too, because then that's just a constant healing coming in. It'd be pretty nice. I went with Sea Fury Gauntlets here because, again, you get the melee crit, you get the spell crit, you get the melee stats, and of course Sea Fury over Chromatic because Chromatic Gauntlets don't have stamina, and could, of course, go with Gloves of Enforcement if you wanted to focus entirely on melee stats, but I didn't. This build I went with Osirian's Binding because I needed the hit to get to the hit chance. So that's why I went with Osirian's and this one over Therazane. So lots and lots of crit here, but no attack power, unfortunately. Scaled Sand Reaver, same. I went with the Stormcaller's Foot Guards because decent melee stats, and you need the 3-piece, and you get a little bit of magical resistance reduction, but it's not really going to matter all that much at all. Same 2 rings, and with the trinkets, as before, trinkets are meant to be swapped. So in this instance, I just put in natural alignment crystals, so it's different. But remember, trinket slots are meant to be swapped for different situations. This situation called for natural alignment crystal. So this is your baseline spellhance PvP. Focuses more on melee than it does on spell power. This isn't the one I'm going to particularly be using myself, but I feel like it's very valid, it's very useful in PvP. And before we switch to the alternate spellhance that has just a ton of spell power, I want to say again, this talent build, utilizing this gear set that focuses more on melee than it does spell power, would still probably be a Storm Strike build. You might be able to make the case to make this a Nature's Guidance and you would just do 30, 20, 0. You would never, ever, ever for PvP go 21, 30, 0. You'd never do Elemental Fury for PvP. And this gear set would not be a Elemental Flurry build either, where you would go 31, 20. So this is definitely a Storm Strike gear set. And then I would probably lean more towards Restoration in this one, but Elemental's still just as fine. Now, finally, we're going to talk about my alternate spellhance build here. And as you can see, the gearing in this set is completely insane, out of left field, wackadoo nonsense. But if you want to be an Elemental Flurry Shaman, or you want to be a true hybrid Zappy Boy, Bonky Boy at the same time, you're gonna need something that looks like this. Now, let's just go right down the list, because like I changed almost everything. We swapped Sky Fury back to Stormcallers because we want more spell power. We're gonna use our Stormcallers Pauldrons, but we're putting the attack power on it. We're gonna try to get a Cloak of Consumption from ZG. There is, there's better capes, right? But I don't have it set to elemental. So basically there's like a better cape than this that drops off Cthulhu. You're not getting that, okay? If you're an enhancement shaman and your raid is enhancement and you get enhancement gear, there's a really good chance you're not getting I think it's like the Cloak of the Devoured. If you can get it, great, right? But I think this is fine, okay? It's fine. Stormcaller's Hubert still. You're going to try to snag the Bracers of Arcane Accuracy. We're doing this because we're not going into Restoration for spell hit, and a good deal now of our damage comes from spell power, so we really have to make sure our spells hit, so we have to get that 3% spell hit. How we're going to do it is with Bracers of Arcane Accuracy. You could also get, and I don't have it, oh my god, dude, I don't have it set to Elemental. Whatever. Take my word for it. There's bracers, I think they're called Rock Fury? Let me check. Let me see if my memory serves me. This is such a great video. This is the first time, guys, I've recorded a video at like 3 a.m. So, there's going to be all kinds of things wrong with this video, and it's going to be great. It's going to be an experience. So, we have Rock Fury bracers, right? They're a little bit better on the spell power, but you lose intellect. They're both cloth, so pick your poison. These are incredibly easy to get because you get them from Cenarian Circle Revered, and Bracers of Arcane Accuracy drop from Blackwing Lair, but hopefully by the time we're in Phase 5, all the casters either have access to this or access to those. You can get one or the other. It really doesn't matter. I went with the Blood Drinker with 30 spell power as the maximum ultimate meme weapon. You can use it to zap people. You can use it to drain their life completely. It'll be hilarious. Like, you know, just with this amount of spell power and that proc, you're going to be doing, what is it, close to like a 400 life drain? Yeah, math, somewhere around in there. That's pretty good, especially because that thing can proc, you know, twice in a Wind Fury, just like the Ancient Akari Manslayer. So you're looking at like an 800 life drain sometimes. 800 hit, 800 heal. That's insane. That's just goofy. That's just goofy, and it'd be really funny to kill somebody with it and watch them get angry. I just put in the Totem of Life because all three options suck, so I picked that one. We went with Gauntlets of Kalimdor here because spell power, right? Melee stats, no melee crit, whatever. Grasp of the Fallen Emperor. You could do Primalist still. I can't spell Primalist, there we go. Yeah, you could do Primalist, you get more spell power, you get more strength. But, you know, less everything else, so it's whatever, it's interchangeable. I just went with Fallen Emperor because it has MP5, and that's something, I guess. Primalist Linked, we went with these over 10 Storms, we went with these over Stormcaller, we went with these over the, you know, Sand Reaver Leggings, because we need the spell hit, unfortunately, and, you know, we just want to make sure that our stuff actually lands. So, Primalist Linked is just kind of what you have to do unless you spec into Restoration, which you're not going to do for this gear set, because I want this to be the go-to Elemental Flurry gear set, right? We're still going with Boots of the Shadow Flame for the exact same reason. We need melee hit, and we have to get the 5 melee hit, and we have to get the 3 spell hit without using talents. Our 2 rings here, we have Karaji Fury, and now we're going to use Master Dragon Slayer for that melee hit. And then our trinkets here, as I've said, what, 3 times now? Trinkets are meant to be swapped. This is an example. You know what, for this example, what we're going to do, just to make it different than the other ones, I'll just put in that, the Petrified Scarab, just because it's funny. Whatever. Resistances, we like them. And your talents, this is the only talent tree that I've built out completely. And with this version of Elemental Flurry, and I made a whole video about Elemental Flurry, with this version of Elemental Flurry, I focused more on Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning damage than I did on doing shocks. Now, it's gonna come down to what your playstyle is. If you want to get up close and personal and do faster shocks, you're gonna have to get rid of Lightning Mastery to do that. And I just don't feel like it plays as well. Because with this build, you can Lightning Bolt, Chain Lightning Bolt, whatever. And then they rush you. And then you whip out this axe that they've never seen before and suck the soul out of their body. So, you know, it's all fun. It's all fun in games. Why do you do the weird things you do in this game, Holder? Because it's fun. Because it's fun. Really the only answer you ever need to give. And that, I think, this is a very, very fun PvP set, and I'm going to do my damnedest to build it and showcase it for you. Okay, friends, that's going to be it for your Phase 5 PvP gearing guide. You got some Bonky Boy sets, you got some Zonky Boy sets, you got some hybridizations of the hybridization, and you got options. And that's really what I wanted to do. I wanted to give you options and stuff that you know you could feel confident wearing in most PvP scenarios and have a really good chance of just decimating people whenever you feel like it. So, if you like when I talk about this stuff, you should obviously give me that subscribe, ring that bell, and you'll know when I make more videos. You want to hear me talk about even more stuff, you want to hear me talk about stuff that is potentially not World of Warcraft, you can follow me on Twitch, that's theHOLDERHEK. I stream 4 days a week now, Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You can check me out there. And until next time, everybody, I hope you have a great day, week, month, year, and I'll catch you later. Bye-bye.